Welcome, everyone. We are about to go on a truly amazing journey back in time. Today we're going to explore a mystery that has honestly puzzled humanity for generations, our true origins. We're going straight to the source material to discover exactly where the first humans came from. If you've ever found yourself wondering how we actually got here, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's travel back millions of years and map out the exact evolutionary path that led to, well, us. Okay, let's dive right into this by confronting something I am sure we've all heard. I mean, almost everyone was told at some point in their childhood that humans used to be monkeys, right? And then over time, those monkeys just turned into us. But is that actually the whole story? Or is it kind of like that classic chicken and the egg riddle? If the egg came first, how did it exist without a chicken to lay it? And if the chicken came first, how on earth was it born without an egg? It's a total paradox. So to find the real answer to our origins, we have to step into our time machine and go way, way back, long before any monkeys or humans ever even existed. Section 1. End of dinosaurs. To understand human beginnings, we actually have to start with a massive ending. Just take a look at that staggering number, 75%. So picture this. About 66 million years ago, a colossal asteroid slammed right into Earth. The energy from this impact, it was literally equal to millions of atomic bombs going off all at once. It triggered this absolute apocalypse of fire and ash that completely wiped out the mighty dinosaurs. And remember, they had ruled the planet for 150 million years. In the blink of an eye, 75% of all life on Earth, we're talking animals, giant trees, practically all vegetation, was entirely eradicated. Just gone. The surface of the Earth basically became a scorching wasteland. For years, this dark, incredibly long night just covered the planet. But deep underground, down in the lowest caves, a miracle was actually happening. Tiny, weak, and honestly largely unknown creatures were desperately clinging to life. Now, they weren't strong and they certainly weren't particularly smart, but man, they had an unparalleled will to live. With literally no plants or fresh water available anywhere, these incredible little survivors stayed alive by eating and digesting the very ash that had rained down from the apocalypse of above. And, that incredibly grim survival, that brings us to a major turning point. Section 2. New beginning of life. After centuries of a silent, totally scorched Earth, the skies finally began to clear, and a magical rebirth happened, basically in 3 steps. First, the rain finally fell, quenching a thirst that had literally lasted for generations. Second, as that water hit the ground, the rocky ash began to dissolve, mixing with the water to create this rich, fertile soil. And third, from that soil, small green ferns began to sprout, acting like this lush green carpet that eventually grew into massive forests. The planet was oxygen-rich and vibrant once again. Evolution of mammals. So with Earth healing, those tiny ash eaters could finally emerge from the dark. Over generations, they evolved into mammals that kind of look like rats or shrews. The source material actually refers to them as scribblers. And get this, they had brand new evolutionary superpowers, bright eyes and soft fur, which totally distinguished them from the giant scaly reptiles of the past. No longer forced to eat ash, thank goodness, they transitioned to a diet of insects and all the fresh fruit that was blooming in these brand new forests. And this really brilliantly illustrates the immense scale of time we're talking about here. So 65 million years ago, our scribblers emerge. Fast forward to 55 million years ago, and we see the very first primates jumping through the trees of Africa and Asia. Then around 20 million years ago, the Miocene epoch brings this massive explosion of mammal diversity. We're talking over 4,000 species, branching out into everything from early horses to whales. And finally, around 4 million years ago, we see the appearance of Australopithecus. Now that our timeline has finally brought us to the primates, well, it's time to pivot and directly address the monkey in the room. Truth of humans and monkeys. This next revelation completely changes how we view ourselves. The widespread myth is that humans evolved directly from monkeys, but the reality, drawn from Charles Darwin's often misunderstood theory, is that humans and monkeys actually evolved simultaneously. We are not parent and child, guys. We are way more like evolutionary cousins who simply share a common ancestor from millions of years ago. So how exactly did our specific branch split off? Well, about 7 million years ago, massive tectonic shifts in Africa pushed up these enormous mountain ranges. This completely blocked the moist air, causing the lush forests to dry up and basically die. Our tree-dwelling ancestors, like Sahelanthropus chilensis, suddenly found themselves without trees.
To survive in these new open grasslands, they were literally forced to descend to the ground and take their very first wobbly steps on two legs. This incredible adaptation sets the stage for one of the most monumental discoveries in human history.
Section 3. Our ancestor.
Okay, let me set the scene for you. It's November 24th, 1974. It is a blisteringly hot day in the Afar region of Ethiopia. American anthropologist Donald Johanson is taking a well-deserved break when suddenly his assistant shouts out. Johanson drops everything and runs over, only to find fossilized bones poking right out of the sand. After careful excavation, they recovered 40% of a female skeleton, dating back 3.2 million years. And because the Beatles' song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds happened to be playing at their camp that night, they named her Lucy.
What made Lucy so fascinating was her totally unique anatomy. Her knees and hips were structured and bent in a way that allowed her to walk straight upright on two legs, exactly like us. But her arms were long, and her fingers were curved, which meant she could still rapidly climb trees to escape predators, just like an ape. She was a true, incredible hybrid.
Lucy proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that evolution isn't just some straight line. She was the absolute definition of a missing link, which is an evolutionary stepping stone that bridges the gap between two distinct species. She proved that humans and monkeys share a common evolutionary path, but simply branched out in entirely different directions. So, with our ancestors now firmly walking on two legs, we enter the final, rapid stages of human evolution.
Rise of Homo sapiens. Tracing these final evolutionary leaps, we see that 2.5 million years ago, Homo habilis arrived. They were known as handyman because, well, they were the very first to craft stone tools. Then, around 700,000 years ago, came Homo heidelbergensis, which later evolved into Homo erectus. And finally, just 300,000 years ago, Homo sapiens emerged. Fossils found in Jebel Irhoud, Morocco, showed these ancestors looked about 70% like modern humans today. But their physical appearance, that wasn't even their greatest asset. As noted in the source material we're analyzing today, their true defining feature was their massive brain capacity, recorded as reaching 10,300 to 10,400 cubic centimeters. I mean, to put that into perspective, this astonishingly large and creative brain became our ultimate superpower for survival. It gave us the unprecedented ability to think, to reason, and to innovate. Which leaves us with one final, totally monumental question. How exactly did Homo sapiens take this incredible brain power, step out of the wilderness, master fire, forge weapons, and ultimately build the complex modern civilizations we live in today? I mean, we've traced the biological journey from tiny ash-eating survivors all the way to the first humans, but the story of how our minds conquered the planet, that is just beginning. Think about that for a second. Get ready because we are going to uncover exactly how they did it in our next explainer. Thanks so much for joining me and keep exploring.